Welcome, everyone, to the Outbreak podcast, and I am your humble host, Ray Harkins. Thank you for listening, watching, however it is you're consuming it. We genuinely appreciate it. The 2025 lineup is like 95% finalized, and the new additions to the festival are Glassjaw. Oh my gosh. They are doing 2 album plays in Manchester on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, they play Worship and Tribute, and Sunday, they hit everything you ever wanted to know about Silence, which I've seen them play songs from both records, and they are incredible. They're also playing London, but a normal set. And then as a reminder, it's the 2025 edition is June 13th through 15th, but the Friday is, of course, in London at Victoria Park, and then Saturday and Sunday are normally as they are in Manchester at the BEC Arena. Less than 30% of tickets remain, so if you're thinking about it, you better pull the trigger sooner rather than later. And plus, there's a bunch of other cool bands that got added to the Manchester dates, like Gleamer, Tsunami, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, actually, I think that was announced in the first one. But regardless, check out the lineup. It is so damn good. And today on the podcast, I am thrilled to welcome Mike and Will from Never Ending Game. If you are not keyed into Never Ending Game, you should dig in, because they are an incredible Detroit hardcore band. But I had both of them on, obviously. They have unique insights because Mike works at Alternative Side Management, which is a great management company, and he does a lot of the day-to-day for a lot of bands of all shapes and sizes. And Will also plays in Gridiron. The fact that they can be as busy as they are with their respective work projects and band projects, and they still are able to come together to make this awesome band and then be able to play festivals and coordinate it all, it's incredible. And we are thrilled to have them here. So new episodes come out every 2 weeks, as we have been until April. So subscribe and follow, spread the word where you can. And also please support our presenting sponsor, Squarespace, and use the promo code Outbreak for 10% off your first website or domain. You can also reach out to us at podcast@outbreakfest.co.uk. And of course, a link will be in the show notes for all of this stuff. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy this discussion with Never Ending Game.
Please don't, you gotta help me. Something just ain't right. I've been running on empty. My dreams are out of sight. When I stop getting going, it all comes to a stop. My name ain't about to me, just a little off the top.
This is Will Kalen from Never Ending Game.
And I am Mike Wazlenko from Never Ending Game.
I always feel like it's so funny because it's like introducing yourself like a talk show.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, everybody, this
Calm
is
down.
Will
Yeah,
Kalen.
totally, yeah, exactly. Well, now that we're on the late night show,
Yeah.
you guys are very interesting for a multitude of reasons, but I think you embody this like part-time, full-time band that exists where it's like you guys can play fests, you could do these things, but you genuinely don't need to kill yourselves on the road. And that really only started to happen like the past 5 or 6 years. Before it was like 150 shows a year bare minimum. So is it, I know the answer is yes, it is fun to be able to exist like this, but does it like surprise you guys? Like where does it sit in your head?
I mean, for me, like just looking at like what hardcore is now, like there's so many bands that like come and go, and the fact that we've been doing this for like 5 years and we can still be the band that plays later in a festival and stuff, and we aren't the band that's going and grinding and doing all these shows and stuff. I mean, everybody has full-time jobs. Our vocalist just had his first kid. Like everybody has got other things they have to do, and the fact that when we can come out to these types of festivals and like do this hardcore stuff and play this late, it's like it's awesome, especially for me working in the music industry. Like for the longest time, like before Never Ending Game as a band, I would just be like a tour manager, stage manager, and I would just see this and be like, yeah, I'm getting paid. This is like my job, but man, I really wish I was on the stage. To where now it's the perfect balance of I can go do stuff with Never Ending Game and like get my fix. I don't have to go into the van and like suffer and go play the shows that like my band's played forever, way down to like 3 guys and maybe the sound guy if he showed
We've
up.
played shows to nobody.
We have played shows to nobody to like have this now to where anytime it's like, man, I really want, like, I wish I was playing a sweet set. We get to do this and then go back to normal life. Like after this Euro UK tour that we're doing, we go home and everyone just goes back to work, and that's what it is.
Yeah. It's definitely weird because we spent a long time playing shows and nobody. And then, I don't know, this perfect, like, amalgamation of people came together because we all played in bands prior to Never Ending Game. And then we would play shows, and, like, that's how we met. We met Guys for Freedom, and then, like, oh, we should start this other project. Mikey had an idea. And so we started it up, and here we are, man. So it's like, I'm very lucky and blessed that we have the opportunities we get. Like, I play another band, Gridiron, and we just played a set, and it was unbelievable. Like, we're going to go do it again, like, in an hour. It's just like, I can't even stress how lucky I am that people care. It's really cool.
And I think, I agree wholeheartedly. I think a lot of it also has to do with the fact that, like, you guys are adults and you're older. You know how to be responsible. Like, you know how to, like, show up for one another and, like, also be efficient with your time. Because, I mean, a lot of times people start bands when they're 16, 17 years old because you're bored as hell.
Yeah.
You have anything to do. And that's fine. That's great. But then now the fact that you could be like, hey, do you guys want to record a song? And they're like, all right.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And
Check the Google Calendar. Yeah.
Right. And then it's so focused where you're just like, we know we want to do this, so we're going to do this. And I think that's probably part of the reason why you could be where you're at.
Yeah.
I think so. Definitely the age factors into that.
Yeah.
Like when we started playing shows 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, we were
way different.
so excited for a tour that no tickets were sold. You know, like we played so many shows.
Yeah, right.
No, like so many shows to nobody, and now to like have this, it's like, okay, I got exactly, like, this was the dream. It's not like my full-time job, and I can like get my fist to it.
And even like on this tour package last night, when we got back to the bus at 1:30 in the morning, everybody just went to their bunk and fell asleep. Everyone's just like old. It's like kind of depressing.
I'm waking up and I'm answering emails like,
I sent
everybody is still doing their work.
And honestly, it's like, it really genuinely makes me happy to watch that, because it's like, again, you're watching this like youth culture that has been able to grow up and still be a responsible individual, but then also bring all of the weird stuff that we bring from our subculture into the real world, where people are just like, what do you mean you're waking up answering emails? Like, aren't you off your job, Mike?
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm always on, dude.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're not working for yourself or a company that, you know, is independently owned or whatever, it's just like, it's all part of what you do to make Never Ending Game happen.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It can be difficult sometimes. Like, when you get that flight back and you land at 1 a.m, it's like, I got to be at work at 7:30, 8.
And the amount of times that we've done that, especially with me, like living on the West Coast, I live in LA now. So like, if we do a show, like a one-off in Philly or a one-off in Boston or like FYA or something, it's leaving Friday, getting there at like midnight or 1 a.m, playing the fest on Saturday, and then it's like a 6 a.m. flight so I can get back on Sunday. Like, but it's worth it.
It's always
we still do it
every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Because to your point, you have played those, I'll use air quotes, shows in front of nobody, which I affectionately call practice. Like,
right.
You're like,
a lot of practice.
Yeah, a couple practice sets.
We've had a lot of practice sets.
Iowa comes to mind.
There's a lot.
To the Iowa State Fair. I think we played to the sound guy.
Yeah. I've done Myrtle Beach too, to just the sound guy on a really tall stage.
That is the worst, where you're in an actual venue, and then like you ask the question, hey, can we play on the floor? And they're like, why would you play the floor? Because no one is here.
Yeah. Right. This is very uncomfortable. Yeah.
Why do you think us being on stage will make any difference?
Right, exactly.
Zero. This is a very random question, but I think something that like typifies many people's experience within punk and hardcore, where it's like, you have that show, you have that record, that kind of like inflection point where you're like, if I didn't go to that show, if I didn't listen to that record, my life would have been drastically different. When I mention that to you guys, like, what springs to mind in regards to the either or of those experiences?
You start. I gotta think about
I gotta
this.
think too.
It's hard.
It's hard to think of a specific show, but like there was a couple kids in high school that showed me like Trapped Under Ice and Cruel Hand and Guns Up and all that stuff, because I was into like metalcore and like As I Lay Dying and stuff like that. And then they showed me that. I mean, when I listened to Terror for the first time, I was like, I don't know, this is a little fast for me, you know? And then over the years, you're like, oh wait, this is like the greatest thing ever, you know? So yeah, a couple kids in high school would show me stuff. And now like with TUI, like TUI was one of the first hardcore bands I listened to. And then with the latest record, Outcry, we did a song with Sam, Injustice. And it's like, that was a full circle. Like, yeah, my life, like if this is the last thing I put out, cool. It's all I need, you know?
Done.
Yeah.
Done. Yeah.
So that'd be my answer. Yeah.
Man, it's tough because like one of the things with Never Ending Game that makes it so cool and dynamic is like Will and like Mikey and Derek, they're so much more like hardcore. Like they know all these bands that like I've always been like the metal guy.
metal
Like
teacher.
everyone calls
Mike
me
was like-
Metal Mike.
Yeah, Mike was like the candid, like, oh, who's that metal guy playing with you?
I was
You know?
always like always like wearing like 7th grade like Injustice for All shirt. Like I've always been like the metal guy. So like for me, an album, it'd be like, I don't know, like Ride the Lightning. Like I think like Fade to Black.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the songs that like I bring to Never Ending Game are the Going Through Some Things, One of Those Nights, the more like melodic, like kind of like epic, like that's like my vibe. And then working with Will and like I would fill in for his old band Detain, he would fill in for my old band Breaking Wheel. So I was like filling in for like a beat down hardcore band, he was filling in for a death metal band, which we both have our roots in, and we both love those genres immensely. He's way more hardcore, I'm way more metal. So it's just when it finally became a thing with Never Ending Game, it was like, yeah, me and Will have to be in a band together.
Oh,
the fact that we haven't done this, and when we write together, and like when we can,
Feed off each other.
it's
Yeah.
incredible. That's
Yeah.
and
The
that's
first show I
over
think
here.
for us was that show in Lansing. I think had Breaking Wheel and Detain, and that was the first time I met you and those guys.
Mhm.
And then that was probably like 12 years ago at this point.
Yeah, a long time.
13 years ago. So yeah, we filled in for each other's bands forever, and then it was like, oh, we got to play.
You're like, wait, why haven't we played together? But
Yeah, exactly.
your experience of like bringing a genre of music that obviously is closely tied to hardcore,
Mhm.
but it's like sometimes the path definitely is very much like punk or hardcore or metal. Like
Yep.
when you're a kid,
Yeah.
those are the roads that you travel down. But it's like when you have people coming in from both worlds being like, yes, like this is what Cannibal Corpse is, and it'll be like, oh my god, that's the most impressive thing
Yeah, right.
I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And then vice versa, where you're just like, you're probably like, this is really slow. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and being able to bridge that gap where it's like, even though, by all stretches of definition, like Metallica in independent music is just like, well, yeah, everybody likes Metallica. But like when you got into it, like that was like, what?
It's a new world.
I've
Yeah.
never heard of this.
Yep.
How does this make sense? Where it's like, I have a 13-year-old child, got into Metallica via Fortnite.
Oh,
Because of
yeah.
Fortnite emotes and stuff like that. Where they're like playing songs.
Yeah.
Stop
I'm like,
hitting the gritty.
Yeah.
totally. And it's unbelievable where you're just like, that is how kids can be exposed to music.
I think that is cool, like that. And the
It
Stranger
is.
Things, like you can sometimes get jaded on that of like, oh my gosh, like Metallica is doing Fortnite or Stranger Things. But if that gets a set of kids into guitar music, then it's a win. You know?
It's the same scenario as Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Oh
where
yeah,
you
Oh.
absolutely.
I played so much Tony Hawk, and I tried to skateboard for so long,
Same.
and I was so fucking bad at it.
I would just put the skateboard in the grass and be like,
Oh, I was the worst skateboarder ever. I wanted to be good. I still think I still follow skateboarding and like watch it, and I'm like, I think it's so cool, but I was so bad at
I'm
it.
right there. But yeah, Tony Hawk definitely for sure played into it too. On the
Yeah.
punk side, because I was like, oh, I like punk. I've listened.
Right.
I play Tony Hawk. you know?
Totally. Yeah. You're like, Goldfinger is sick.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, absolutely. You're like, if you listen to any other song, no. Why would I?
I think a guy who from Goldfinger like grew up with Cannibal Corpse. I remember that from one of the documentaries. And
Okay.
he's like interviewed in like one of the Cannibal Corpse documentaries. I was like, that's fucking sick.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's and that just goes to show where it's like, even though
Nice, man.
even though sonically you could be so far away from certain bands,
Ethos.
it is. And speaking of that, where it's like the fact that you guys obviously, you take the band seriously, but you don't take it seriously where you're, like I said, touring,
Right.
the business decisions. you
Yeah.
make. It's like putting out records with Triple B, whatever. When you guys have had to like encounter those businesses, I know from your background in music, like you've been able to see all sides of it. So
Yeah.
you kind of have a perspective, but like, is it just fun to have like, or whatever, someone reaching out to be like, oh, let's do this thing. And you're like, right, I guess we'll do this or whatever. Like, how do you approach those business decisions in the band?
It's usually an email to the band email.
Okay.
And then it's like a text to our group chat, like, hey, everyone check your calendars. Like, could you maybe do this? Could you maybe do that? And then someone's like, oh, I got a wedding, birthday
Yeah.
party, whatever it is, things pop up.
Yeah.
But I feel like you have been helping a lot recently of like getting things done, like certificates for coming.
Yeah, I handle all of the because for my job, I'm the head of logistics at a music company or a management company. So I'm the one that's always doing the visa paperwork and the freighting and stuff like that. I do it every day. So when we did this, we got to the airport and I was like, just let me handle it. I do this
It's so
for a
nice
living.
because I can just go in and be like, Mike's got to take care of.
Yeah. So where I'm just
Yeah.
let me
Don't
take care of this. We got this.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes it, and it, especially too, where it's like, individual members contribute different things.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not everything needs to land on one person's shoulder. It's like, well, there's our graphic design person, or here's our whatever.
That's what's so nice about Never Ending Game is like every person has their job. Like Dennis on bass, he does a lot of graphic design, does all the graphic design pretty much for us. Michael handles those like more bigger business decisions.
Logistics, flights, travel plans,
Yep.
any type of immigration paperwork, all
Mikey's
that
got
stuff.
the lyrics. Derek and I will do a bunch of the writing, and then we'll send it to him, like, to add your piece.
And Mikey also handles the like our web store. Like he'll be the one that he shifts out all the orders. Like
big shout out to Mikey for handling the web store. That is not a fun.
Everybody contributes something aside from the music.
Yeah.
Everyone has something that they do. Like even with Dennis doing the designs, like I just show up and we have all these merch designs. And I'm like, I've never seen any of these, and it's awesome.
Yeah, right.
Cool.
You're like, these all look great. Approved.
Yeah, right. It's kind of the point now where Mikey and Dennis just kind of run because they know what the general aesthetic is. And it's like, I don't care.
Right. Go. Like, I trust this.
Yeah, it's total trust, which is nice.
Right. Yeah. You're like, if I like it, that's probably means it's not going to sell.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There have been those times I've definitely had some duds. Where I'm like, this will sell, and just, well, we have 400 of these.
Yeah.
You're like,
just pitch them.
We gotta put these online quick.
Yeah, right.
$5 sale, guys.
Yeah. Put in the $5
Buy one, get
sale
one.
box. Yeah.
Buy one,
Through
get
this
one.
product.
Squarespace, they're our presenting sponsor, and we're thrilled to have them because if you are in a band, run a record label, or doing anything on your own and need a digital footprint, Squarespace is the place that you should look to. And what makes it even cooler is they are giving us a discount code. So if you go to squarespace.com/outbreak to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain, and you use the coupon code outbreak, 10% off. It's amazing. And what makes it amazing? You need a digital footprint. I don't care what it is that you're doing. As long as you are on the internet, you need to have something out there. And that is where Squarespace makes it super easy with design intelligence. So I don't know any code whatsoever, and I have built multiple Squarespace websites. It's drag and drop, it's super intuitive, and they suggest ideas for you. So say you're doing something and you're like, man, I'm stuck. I don't know what to make this merch store look like. I don't know how to make this aesthetically pleasing. That is where design intelligence comes in. It uses AI to be able to give you some options, give you some ideas to kickstart the way that you should think about something looking good, like your website. They also have Squarespace payments, which is incredibly important especially if you're selling merch and records and all of the things. They accept payment methods like Klarna, ACH, Direct Debit, Apple Pay, Afterpay, and ClearPay based in the UK. All of that stuff makes it easy for you to get started. So please go to squarespace.com/outbreak and save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain by using the code outbreak. Squarespace is our favorite and you should use it.
This is another random question, but something that I think tells about you as people. If I were to wake up tomorrow, give you guys infinite money, and you were opening up a retail store, something you could sell stuff, what would you lean into? Whether it's like, it doesn't have to be necessarily a product or what have you, it could be a service. When I'm bringing that up, what comes to your mind first?
Do you have an idea? I have an idea.
You go.
I would get into some sort of fast food business. I'd open a bunch of chains.
Okay.
I'd do like the Rick Ross style, or open a bunch of wing stops.
Right. So you're leaning.
I'd go restaurant, which I know is not an easy thing.
Have you ever worked at a restaurant?
Oh, I worked at Jimmy John's 8 years. Soldier.
You were, well, I was going to say a sandwich artist, but that's, no. But that is besmirching the Subway name that they create.
Exactly.
So what are Jimmy John's sandwich artists called? Do you have a name?
I think we call them sandwich artists. I
Okay.
remember that, yeah. Honestly, I would open a bunch of Jimmy John's. That would be my goal.
Okay. You'd franchise that.
Yes.
And then, I won't say no to that.
So that'd be mine.
Yeah. No, like I control the Jimmy John's franchise.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mine would be like sports memorabilia and sports cards, because
that's the new thing.
I'm a massive sports person. That's like, I listen to more like sports podcasts than I listen to music, especially for Detroit sports. Like there's like a Lions, a Red Wings, a Tigers, and a Pistons podcast that I listen to every single day. Like all my Detroit stuff. And I buy baseball cards and I flip baseball cards. I buy rookies that I think are going to be good. And then I'll send.
When you try to explain this to me, my brain just like melts out of my head.
Yeah. I'm a huge, like, if you could see my office, it's like, yeah, I have like all my tour laminates and like gold records. And then it's just sports memorabilia everywhere. Like I'm constantly seeing something. Probably bothers these guys to where they'll be like, how do you know that? When I'm like, oh, this guy from our single A team just got called up to our double A team. He's going to be a good prospect.
Yeah, I
like,
went to.
I am die hard Detroit sports. Like,
I love that you're following the farm team.
Oh,
as
here's a quip to like prove that this is validated. I live in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We have a high A team that goes up to the Tigers called the West Michigan Whitecaps.
Okay.
I text me, I'm going to the game. Who should I watch for? Sends me a spreadsheet detailing.
I have like an Excel sheet where I keep track of all of our teams, so I can like see like their streaks and when they lose and their scores. Like
It's
I have a whole
iconic.
document that I keep track of everything Detroit sports.
that literally makes my heart sore because like I just think that not only that attention to detail, but this is very random. Are you an only child?
No, my brother's playing bass for us.
Okay. Well, anyways, that just sounds. I'm an only child, so that like sounds very only childlike behavior. Where it's like I'll just hang out, do all this, and spreadsheet. You know. Anyways, but I appreciate that. I feel seen. You know, I didn't do that for sports teams, but did different versions of it.
So we got to go to the strip mall together. We'll do a Jimmy John's, and then there'll be an access door so we can have some beers
to the sports
after.
cards. Yeah.
I mean, what a 1-2 punch.
I mean, I think we have some gold here.
Yeah, that'd be a good spot. I go there all the time.
Yeah, I'd find. You're like, I'm working at my shop all the time. I am not.
Oh, I would be in every day. Now you ever see Mike, see what he's up to.
The only, I guess, double-edged sword with that is the fact that you may ingest a lot of your product. You may take.
Yeah.
You could eat a sandwich, then you touch a card and it loses value because you got
true. We have to be careful with the oil.
Yeah.
But be careful with the sauce.
Yeah. And like, on that same topic, the idea of I always get fascinated by, clearly you guys obviously don't make money out of the band from a living person. I mean, you make that money.
Right.
The idea of like side hustles, gigs, whatever it is, that obviously gives you the opportunity. It doesn't have to be what you're doing right now, but the idea of like, what's been your favorite thing that's enabled you to obviously pursue your art, playing in bands and stuff like that. Even playing in front of 4 people.
Right.
I will.
What's my favorite part?
Like your favorite gig, job, whatever that's been, giving you the ability to be able to like.
Oh, I mean, for me right now, it's just like my full-time regular job. Having PTO and being able to like do this tour.
Yeah.
Like previously, I don't think I would have been able to do that.
Yeah.
So that, but I also like family too. Like my fiance is very supportive. Mike's wife is very supportive. All of our family is super supportive, which helps too.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly a side gig, but like having that ability in the family, be like, no, we want you to go do this, like chase your dreams. It's like you kind of have this little side thing of like chasing your dreams.
Yeah.
But you can have a full-time job and do stuff on the side. Like it's not going to be easy because you're going to have those 1 a.m. flights and stuff. But like just the way it is, if you want to try it, it's maybe do it.
Family's definitely a big one. Like my dad he played in a Led Zeppelin cover band called The Jam. And my first concert I ever went to was Van Halen at Joe Louis Arena. Like my dad's like my absolute hero. He's the whole reason I do all this. And he was the reason I started playing guitar and everything. And like my brother was different. He did the whole like go to college. Like I never went to college. I just got out of high school, started working in a factory, and then got lucky growing up with some of the guys that played in that band Citizen, going to shows, and I started selling merch for them, and then I started tour managing them, and then their manager hired me, and now I just have a career out of this, and I have.
Right, you're like music industry? That was a thing?
Yeah, right.
I was just like, I can make money doing this.
Yeah, right.
So in this grinded it for, I've been doing it for 2014, 2015, like right around then. I was on the road all the time, just like selling merch or tour managing and just like even guitar teching, just like going out with different bands, doing different things. So like where I am now, and it all starts with, the family, the support. Like they were always like, do what you want to do. Like, we're going to back you up in any way. And my parents told me and my brother, like, if you go to college, like, we will help you pay for it. For me, I was just like, it's not going to do anything for what I'm going to do.
It's not interesting.
Well, it kind of goes back to the band too. Is like everyone comes from different walks of lives, and like I think that plays into why NEG sort of has an eclectic sound. So everyone brings their own little piece, and it becomes this. I'm not saying we're reinventing the wheel, but like there's things where I'm like, oh, I know there's definitely some tracks, but there are times I hear a song, I'm like, man, this doesn't sound like anything. And I'm like, oh yeah, we have 5 dudes from like totally different walks of life.
Totally.
That adds in that.
All of your spice.
Exactly.
The factory. What sort of factory were you working?
I worked for a prototype company that made like car engine cradles to like parts for NASA. And I ran a 5-axis laser. It's just like a big laser that cuts like holes and slots in steel And I like programmed it. And I did it for like 3 years. And then I quit. I didn't quit. I put in, and it was the same thing. I got like PTO working there. I got back into like, I miss playing music. I played in a hardcore band. We had a 3-show weekend, and one of the shows canceled. So it was just 2 shows, and I think they were both in Michigan.
Yeah.
And I put in my like time off, and I didn't have enough PTO, and the foreman was like, I can't give you this off. And I was like,
Well, I guess this
this is
I
it.
guess I'm leaving. Yeah.
And I'd been there for like 3 years, had all benefits, had everything, and I was just like, I don't really care about this. Like, I'm gonna go do this. And then after that, like, had just like little jobs here and there and stuff. But I was just like, well, screw it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Like,
go do this.
sometimes you just got to go all in, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
You
and
gotta
that's
take risks.
Yeah, risks.
Totally. Well, and the reason I asked that is because it, like, obviously Detroit being such a manufacturing town, it's like, and most people that live outside of that area have no, where it's like, they're like, oh, I generally know like factories or whatever.
Right.
But it's like, when you get into the specifics of like, oh yeah, dude, I polish this knob for this thing.
Oh,
and
it's
it's
crazy.
8 hours a day. And you're just like, that's a job. And it's like, hell yeah, it is. How do you think this stuff gets to be?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friends, Chappie before, they worked on car mirrors for years. It's like, it's so, how many little jobs and warehouses there are for elements of a car, drive shafts, like all sorts of things. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
I couldn't ask for like a greater place to be raised in Michigan. Like touring the world and being all these cities, like Detroit is just a city where the people that live there and work there like have so much pride. And I think that's what makes it for me with the sports stuff, like why I'm so strong. Like living in Los Angeles, I'm like, okay, you can buy your rings. You guys got all this money and stuff. I'm like Detroit is just such like, it's like an aesthetic of the city, the grit, the work.
We just said that
Oh,
at
yeah,
the
at the
same
same
time.
time.
See that?
I did.
Just there's something like I live in Los Angeles now. If my wife, I'm sure she's gonna listen to this, and she's heard me say this so many times. If I could move back to Michigan, I would in a heartbeat.
Come on, Danny.
I
Make
know,
it happen.
Danny, come on.
Yeah. I love that. I don't care if it's miserable the entire time, it rains every day, and then it's humid in the summer. I love the people there. I love being there. It's just, to me, it's
Detroit.
it's
Detroit.
the
Michigan's
hardest
the best,
working
man.
city,
Yeah.
the hardest working state. It's the best.
You can't beat Ypsilanti.
Oh, so that's, yeah.
Yeah. Ann Arbor's next,
Yeah.
Well, don't ask this guy.
I'm just-
Ohio State fan.
Ah, here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
We also, but we're not touching this.
Mhm. Yeah, we'll end up in here.
Yeah.
Hey, Max, let's go.
Well, I genuinely appreciate you dudes doing this. Thank you for hanging out.
Thank you for having
Dude,
us.
yeah.
The obligatory handshake as you're supposed to do at the end of these things.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you.
Awesome.